I'm Starborn. Remember, to be a star, you have to shine your own light, follow your own path, and not be afraid of the darkness, because that's when stars shine brightest. And in fact, I can be talking about a lot of good things that could be coming up for you, because if you've been looking on my website, starborninstitute.org, you'd already know that the title of tonight's show is Full of Great Potential. And that is because there are so many good planetary aspects right now that there can be a lot of potential for all of us. And potential means opportunities that you could take advantage of this week. Oh, there might be a few challenges or maybe even a little storm cloud on the horizon of your future as well. But still, there's the possibility of great potential for your success this week. And that is because we have some wonderful planets supporting each other right now. And for instance, the Mercury and Uranus in Taurus, a fixed financial sign that rules the traditional second house of how you make your money and what you spend it on, are both trining the moon today in Capricorn. And Capricorn traditionally rules your 10th house of career and your long-term security. And then those three planets are also trining the sign of Virgo, which can rule your health, or it can rule your job, or maybe looking for a new job. And so there is the possibility that there can be an advancement in your career in one way or another, even if you have just been laid off from your job. There, that does represent the potential for something better in your future if you go looking for it. And so it's very good that the moon rules in Cancer rules the moon in Capricorn rules big business and government agencies and large institutions. So those are places where you might, if you are looking for another job, where you might apply. And so it also can mean, since Taurus is a financial sign, that there can be an infusion of cash that somehow comes into maybe your employer, or that somehow you can get your hands on to tide you over if you are sort of in between jobs right now. Or it can just be that, if you're leaving one job, it could be because you want to get higher pay somewhere else, and maybe you could get it now. The potential is there for that. And then there are also three planets in the water signs, and they are all trining each other. And so that's good, because Mars in Cancer, which rules the home and our families and the last half of life, and Cancer also rules the masses, and it rules unions, and it rules Congress, and America, and Canada, and Ukraine. But Mars is there, and Mars is a very energetic planet, but it is trining Saturn and Neptune in Pisces, and together they are trining Scorpio. And so there is the possibility, since Mars is trining Saturn, which is a good aspect, even though they're malefic planets, they're not hurting each other, they're getting along with each other. And actually, it can mean that if you are very determined and you're feeling really energetic right now about something, you could really sort of want to get to the bottom of a problem, or you could want to do some problem solving right now. And so that is good, because these planets are trining Scorpio, and Scorpio rules justice. So there's the possibility that someone, somewhere, can be very determined to see that justice is done. And if they are, then that can happen. And it could happen to somebody who is going to be defeated now because of their own self-undoing. In other words, they're going to be defeated not because of something that you or I or anybody else wanted to do to them, but because, they took a step too far, or they tried to do something, maybe they tried to break the law. But they will be defeated by their own self-undoing, by something they did wrong themselves. And for instance, on the world stage, that could involve somebody who was, say, a dictator who wanted to overtake another country and committed some war crimes in order to do it. And they're the ones that had that idea, and they're the ones that gave the orders. And so through their own self-undoing, they can be defeated, or certainly their power can be diminished. And so that too represents something that is full of potential, because we don't want to be victims all our lives. Most people want to live in peace. And so, we've got to make sure that we are safe and that our homes and families are safe as well. And so that generally means that if somebody's trying to hurt you, hopefully either you or someone else is going to do something about that in order to stop it. So justice could be done. And then among the air signs, a wonderful thing is happening right now, and it is that Pluto is in Aquarius, and Aquarius rules the future, and it rules things ahead of their time. And it is now trining beautifully Venus in Gemini. And so Pluto is at 0 degrees of Aquarius, and Venus in Gemini is at 2 degrees of Gemini. They're both very early in the sign, so the trine is almost exact, and that means that those two planets are trining the sign of Libra as well. And so that's wonderful, because it simply means that Pluto is a planet of power, powerful people who have been innovators, who have already done something new and amazing, or that maybe they're inventors, but they're pretty powerful, meaning that they've been around for a while and they've succeeded. Those powerful innovators right now could be wanting to make new partnerships. Venus rules Libra, and Libra rules partnerships, and it's in Gemini, the sign of youth. So powerful innovators with a lot of experience can be wanting to form new partnerships with younger people who have great ideas for the future but could use a little advice. And so this can really speed up and encourage the development of new technologies. And so, one hand helps the other, which is great. But it is, if your life is going to be full of potential, I hope that you have great ideas, but I also hope that you go searching for answers when you need to make that good idea really work. And generally the people who have a lot of experience could also have the answers. And so this is a wonderful time full of great potential for powerful innovators to hook up with younger counterparts in order to form partnerships and encourage the development of new technologies. So that is completely possible. So if you have a great idea and you don't exactly know how to get it off the ground, well, go find somebody who's already done that with their great idea and ask them how they did that. Maybe they'll help you out. And then finally, in the fire signs, there are 2 planets that are in great shape right now, and they are the Sun at 22 degrees of Aries, which is perfectly conjuncting and in perfect alignment with Jupiter, also at 22 degrees of Aries. So, it doesn't get nicer than that, because Jupiter is the planet of goodness and abundance and expansion, and the Sun is the giver of light, and they are both in the sign of new beginnings. That's why the show is called Full of Great Potential, because this is a wonderful time for you to think about making a new beginning. And it might even be something that you have had on your mind for a long time, or that you always intended to do, or that you always wanted to do, but you never got around to it because, life got in the way. But maybe you could do that now. However, there are a few storm clouds on the horizon of your future, and it's just better to look out for them so that you can go around them instead. And one of them is because there is a harsh T-cross among the cardinal signs, which there also was last week. And that is because Mars in Cancer is opposing that wonderful moon in Capricorn today, and both of them are being squared by that great Sun and Jupiter in Aries. And so Cancer rules the home and our families, and Capricorn rules your career. And so there can be a real standoff, or there can be a lot of tension between the amount of time that you need to spend with your family at home and what your career is demanding from you at the same time. And so, how can you be in two places at once? Well, that is a problem. And I don't know how you're going to solve it, but that is something to watch out for. And you shouldn't get too upset if you find that you can't be in two places at once and that you might have to pare down in one area in order to boost your activities in another area. That's just good time management. You can always catch up with something later. But at least if you know your highest priority and you go for that, you ought to be okay, even if it requires a sacrifice. And then another thing that can be troublesome is that Pluto in Aquarius, which is a fixed air sign, is squaring Mercury and Uranus in Taurus, which is a fixed earth sign. And so it simply means that since Pluto rules powerful people and Taurus rules investments, and you can't make an investment unless you've made some money. You have to have the money to do that. And so generally there can be corporations around or people who are in positions that are dealing with wealth in one way or another. And they can be coming up against perhaps government organizations or other powerful people, but I'm thinking government organizations who could come along and say, oh, you've made some profits here. That's nice. Now we want to tax you more. Because if we take a little bite out of your profits, and that's why I think it's a government agency, we can go ahead and spend that money on things we want to spend it on. And it's money you made. Oh, so that could be a little storm cloud on your horizon. If you are subject to higher taxation right now, that could put a little dent in your budget. And what can you do about it? Probably nothing. You probably have to sort of live through that right now. And then there is a problem that can come up because Saturn and Neptune in Pisces are squaring Venus in Gemini. And whenever Saturn or Pluto square or oppose Venus, it's an indication of a betrayal. And particularly since Saturn is in Pisces, and Pisces rules things that are hidden behind the scenes, it is an indication that, and since Gemini rules youth, that there could be a lot of things that have been hidden behind the scenes about troubled youth. Venus is a planet that represents love and peace and partnership, and Saturn is squaring it, and so is Neptune. And it can mean that, we've got to stop kidding ourselves about the horrendous effect that the pandemic and the school lockdowns had on younger people. Because they could be dropping out of school because they knew they lost a couple years of education, and that's pretty depressing. And Saturn is a planet of depression. Or it can simply be even that there could be some countries, big entities, that have a lower and lower birth rate. And because they have a lower birth rate, that simply means they can't support their own economy because there aren't enough new people growing up and being available in the labor force. And so there may even be some country around that would like to steal the young people or the children of some other country because their own birth rate is low, and they want to increase that by actually kidnapping children from other countries that they can raise to become their own labor force. They call that a war crime. Well, it's also a crime against humanity. And it's a crime that affects all of us. Even if you and I don't have a child that's been stolen or kidnapped or harmed, still, we have family members. We don't want anything like that happening to our families. So, you know, justice has to be done. We have to be safe. A society that thrives has to know it's safe to do that. And so that's another little storm cloud on the horizon. Whether it's affecting you directly or it's affecting, or you see that happening in some other country, it shouldn't happen to anybody. Nobody should lose their child. So, we are full of great potential now as far as new opportunities go, but I think at the same time we're going to have to sort of examine our priorities, because there are sort of some tough choices that have to be made. And that's all right. You know, you can't be everywhere at once. And so sometimes you just have to do what you have to do. And if you have to put something off, or if you think, well, gee, I've got to pay attention to this right now, that's fine. I mean, we live in America. You know, it's a free country. And so you can arrange your life the way you need to. Actually, because you're going to have to do that. But there's a lot of planetary help now that can help you reach your full potential. Okay, what does this mean to all 12 of the sun signs? Aries. Well, Aries, you couldn't ask for anything better than the Sun and Jupiter conjuncting each other in your sign. I mean, it just doesn't get any better than that. And also, they're both at 22 degrees today. 22 is an even number, and it reduces to another even number, because we reduce numbers by adding digits. 2 plus 2 equals 4. And when numbers do that, when they remain in the same either odd or even designation, it means that it can be really easy to achieve something. There's no conflict there. And so these are even numbers. Well, since numbers only come odd or even, and the even numbers have an awful lot to do with work and with getting the job done. Since your sign is the sign of new beginnings, you may come up against some tension between demands for your career and demands for your home and your family life, because your own ruler, Mars, is squaring your sun. And the moon in Capricorn is also squaring your sun. Well, Capricorn rules careers, and Cancer rules the home. So, okay, Aries, you might feel like you're caught between a rock and a hard place as far as making choices go. But the bottom line is, when we work, we get paid. and that's what we live on. So, you may have to make some choices between what you'd rather be doing in your career and what you need to be doing at home. And, you know, with the Sun and Jupiter in your sign, I would say that a new beginning for you, Aries, is absolutely guaranteed right now. And that it is, and if it involves a new job or some new duties, or just a new way of solving your problems, I think you're going to be very successful at that. And, you know, okay, so there's squares to your sun sign. Well, everybody has problems, but nobody but your sign has the Sun and Jupiter conjuncting each other, which has got to be great. The only trouble with having Jupiter in a person's sun sign, it stays in a sun sign for about a year. And so there's 12 sun signs. So it takes 12 years for it to get all the way around your chart. But every time Jupiter comes into a person's sun sign, the way it's doing with your sign, Aries, they tend to gain weight. See, Jupiter is abundance, and usually people put on a little extra weight when Jupiter is in their sun sign. So I just thought I'd warn you a little bit about that, Aries. But otherwise, I think you're due to make a new start no matter what, and that it will be successful. So my hat's off to you. I think it's going to take some hard work, but Aries is absolutely wonderful at making new starts and being successful at that. So I hope you just get up and get going, Aries, because the stars are with you. Okay, what does it mean to a Taurus? Taurus. This is a time, Taurus, when you have to be a little bit careful to hang on to your money. And for one reason, the economy is uncertain right now. And so the value of investments, and investments are ruled by your sign, the value of investments can be fluctuating and going up and down. Well, there may not be anything you can do with that about that, except you could buy or you could sell something. I mean, that's how you can handle your money that way. Or you can simply wait it out. But you see, Pluto is in Aquarius right now, and it is squaring Mercury and Uranus in your sign. And Uranus is the planet of sudden surprising change. And so you have to be, I think, even a little bit more conservative with your investments right now, because they could be subject to sudden change, which is not quite in your control. So you'd want to be even a little more security prone. And so this is probably not the time for you to be spending a lot of money, Taurus. You could want to instead be putting money in to make your money more secure, particularly in the future. You may be wanting to put your money into more money into a retirement account. Now that would be a good idea, because Mercury and Uranus in your sign are being trined today by the moon in Capricorn, and Capricorn rules rewards that are earned over a long period of time, so they rule retirement funds or pension funds. And so if you wanted to build that up right now, Taurus, that would probably be a good strategy for you. And so, of course, that would mean that you'd want to be pretty conservative and make sure that money is there by the time you do retire. But you have a lot of potential to be successful at that right now. So I would look down the road a little bit, Taurus, at how you're going to live in your old age, and think about that a little bit more than whatever it is you want to buy today. Besides, if the economy gets any softer, prices might go down. It might be better to wait and get something at a lower price. But in the meantime, build up that retirement account. That would be real smart of you. Okay, what does it mean to a Gemini? Gemini. This is a time, Gemini, when you can feel pretty good. And that's because Venus has just entered your sign. So it's only at 2 degrees. And it is being trined by Pluto in Aquarius at 0 degrees. It's a real tight trine, which is great. And because Venus rules Libra, Venus in your sign is trining Libra. Excuse me. And so that means that you could be on the verge of a new partnership, Gemini. Or it can be that you want to do something, maybe even 2 things, both part-time. And that would work out really well for you. Sorry, I'm losing my voice a little bit. So this is a time when, if you are wondering how to manage your time, and it might be that you want to cut down in one area, but you want to increase your time in another, and yet still have about the same amount of time being spent. So you sort of want to change your activities, but have them fit in a time frame that's comfortable for you. And you can do that. And the way that you can do that is to go and ask somebody with a lot of experience how they do it. And the reason why you can be successful about that is because Pluto is trining your sun. And Pluto is a planet that represents people that are pretty high up and that have a lot of experience and generally are in upper management. And you could just say, well, could you give me some suggestions on how I could manage my time a little bit better, because I have this priority and I have 2 priorities and I want to be able to meet both of them. What do you advise? And ask somebody. Now, if you are a person who is pretty powerful and you are a good time manager, somebody may be coming to you and asking you, Gemini, and you would probably give them a very good answer. Gemini rules communication, and all Geminis are just born communicators, and they can communicate very effectively. Gemini in particular is good at giving a lot of meaning to just a few words. Okay, so they're good at short phrases, or they're good. Gemini rules buying and selling. In other words, you don't have to know everything. You just have to know the strong points of something. And so Geminis are very good at sort of hitting the high spots in information, and people appreciate that. Actually, when Gemini says something in a what you might call an understated way, it generally has a lot of deep meaning behind it. So it's very important, and Gemini, you would know this, it's very important to sort of listen to when a Gemini says something in a real simple, sort of small way, because it would have a tremendous amount of deep meaning in it. And that's why you have to take even though Geminis are very, very sociable and lighthearted, and they get along with everybody, but when they say something in a real short sentence, that probably has a whole lot of deep meaning behind it, and it would be worth thinking about it, whatever they say. So you have that ability, Gemini. It's a gift. Lucky you. I hope you use it wisely. Okay, what does it mean to a Cancer? Well, Cancer. Okay, Cancer, we know there could be a few clouds on the horizon of your future, because there could be tension around somewhere in your life. I'm not so certain that other people are causing it, but it can certainly be due to current circumstances. They may even be circumstances that are beyond your control, but they're sort of coming at you. And that's because Mars is in your sign. You're not necessarily being hurt by that. In fact, there could be a silver lining in a problem that you have to face right now, Cancer, because actually all three malefic planets are still getting along real well with each other. And so Saturn and Neptune in Pisces are trining Mars in your sign, and Uranus and Mercury in Taurus are sextiling that Mars. I mean, you're not yourself being hurt, and you certainly aren't causing any hurt. It is that you could be caught in sort of the middle of a tense situation, and it's beyond your control. It's something that is caused maybe by your employer, or it's caused by something that's happening in your neighborhood, or it's caused by the change in laws in one way or another, or new government policies. Do you see what I mean? That's not in your control, but it affects you. And so there can be a sort of a push and pull dichotomy going on in between what you are so comfortable with concerning your home and your family, and what the needs are of a career or a world that is changing right now. And you more or less, you can't do everything, and you can't be in two places at once, and you know it. At the same time, you could be wanting to start something new yourself, because Jupiter and the Sun in Aries are squaring your Sun. The Moon in Capricorn is opposing your Sun. That's what I mean by you. Now, you're full of good potential, and there's actually nothing hurting you personally, but you can be caught up in the tensions around you, and that can have an effect. And so you need to calm down, Cancer, because I don't think you're going to be hurt by whatever's going on. No matter what is not resolved yet, even when it gets resolved, it'll turn out fine for you. And so, I think you're worrying too much right now. And a Cancer likes they're like a little bird that likes to get comfortable in their nest. And they like that nest to stay the same because it's so comfortable. And maybe something in your life is being upended, and you're still not going to get hurt by that. It can be hard to live with, but you're not going to be hurt by it, because all of the malefic planets are supporting your sun sign, and they're the ones that can get people in trouble. So I don't think that's going to happen to you, Cancer. But that doesn't mean you can't be pretty worried or stressed out about what's going on around you that you can't control. It's just you're going to have to practice patience. So try to do that. And look forward to tomorrow. Because, we can't live in the past. Yesterday's not coming back. And so we all have the future in front of us. And it is full of potential right now. And so you got to look at the glass as half full and think about filling it up some more, Cancer. There's a lot of good living ahead of you. And I hope you're looking forward to it. Okay, what does it mean to a Leo? Well, Leo, Jupiter and the Sun, both at 22 degrees, are in exact alignment and trining your Sun. And the Sun is your ruler, Leo, and Jupiter is conjuncting it. I think your life is expanding, Leo, because Jupiter rules expansion. And if it isn't you that is expanding right now, and it almost could be due to weight gain at the same time, because Jupiter sort of has a role in that as well. But if it isn't you that is expanding, it's somebody around you that is making a new beginning that is going to turn out to be extremely beneficial for you, Leo. In fact, if you know about it already, you could be excited about it. Or if you are sort of wishing on a star and saying, oh, I wish that would happen, well, it might. Remember, the show is called Full of Great Potential. So there could be a new beginning on your horizon, Leo, and it's going to please you a whole bunch. But the real net effect of it will be, it could be your new beginning, and I think it is. You're associated with it in one way or another. But also, it's going to make your life expand beyond what you're doing right now. In other words, you could say, oh, I want to start a business, but I'm going to start it small. Okay, but it's going to expand. Jupiter's a planet of expansion. Or you could say, oh, we're having a new addition to the family. Oh, isn't that nice? Well, it's going to expand. It's going to be with you for a long time, Leo. You'll like that. So whatever's happening that is new, whether it is to you directly or it is around you, it's going to get better and better. Isn't that nice? And so take advantage of the potential you see around you, Leo. This is going to be one of the best times in your life, one of the happiest times in your life, to look forward to new things. And they will involve you. They will involve you. Even if you're not the one that's making the new beginning, you're going to be real closely associated with it in a wonderful way that will expand your own life and make you happy. So congratulations. Okay, what does it mean to Virgo? Well, Virgo, there really is a nice trine of 3 planets in the earth signs right now, and they represent a lot of potential, and that is because Mercury, your own ruler, and Uranus in Taurus are trining your Sun, and today so is the Moon in Capricorn. And so this is a time, Virgo, when you may get together or at a meeting or something that has to do with a public organization, and you could meet people who are influential. They're sort of in upper management, or they could be heads of their own companies, something like that, and they could tend to like you very much, Virgo. And you should rub shoulders with people like that right now, because there could be a woman, the Moon rules women, there could be a woman who owns her own company or is pretty high up in government agencies that could decide that they wanted to work with you in one way or another. And that would represent a great opportunity for you, Virgo, and you should say yes, definitely. And the reason why is there could be some good money around about that as well. And even if you are making an investment with some other person who's, sort of a business person or has been around in an industry a long time, really knows it, if you were making an investment with them, it would be a pretty safe investment because of their tremendous experience. And you are known for facts and details and sort of following through and being a good problem solver and finishing things. Virgo rules being of assistance to others. That's what they really like to do. And so Virgos don't have the kind of ego that's always got to be number one. But they really like being number two. They like being the person behind the throne and being the person that makes sure everything gets done. So congratulations, Virgo. There is some really nice potential around for you to further your career or even to make a better investment right now. And I think that you should look seriously at that. Because as the economy becomes more uncertain, we all have to be real careful sort of with the pennies. We have to count the pennies and everything else and be careful with things. And your sign rules accounting. So I think this is a good time for you to be cautiously optimistic about some further potential in your career. So congratulations. Okay, what does it mean to a Libra? Libra. This is a time, Libra, when you can just sort of sit there and really benefit from the trines of planets in the air signs, because one of them is your own ruler. Venus is now in Gemini at 2 degrees. It's going to be there for a while, and it's your ruler, and it's trine your sun. So you can be very popular among young people, because that's what Gemini rules, or people who have a very youthful attitude. They could really like you, Libra. And also, Pluto is in Aquarius, and it too is trining your sun. And so, Libra, this is an opportunity to be very popular, and because your ruler, Venus, is a planet of popularity. And also, it's you could be surprised at how popular you are right now, and how easily accepted you are by people who are pretty powerful themselves. You know, Pluto is a planet of power, and it's trining your sun. For years, when it is in Aquarius, it will be trining your sun. So you may make some new friends who are very powerful, and they would like you very much, Libra. You don't have to do anything special for them. You are what you are, and they like what they see. And so maybe it is because Libras are, they're nice to be around. Libras don't like dissension. They don't like fighting. They sort of like people to get along. Libra rules peace. And so you could be tremendously popular right now because of your natural ability. That's what I mean by you don't have to do anything, Libra. People just like you. So do not stay home. You've got to get out among them right now. And I think all you have to do is smile. And if you just turn that little smile on, and then with your natural charm, I think you're in for a pretty good time. Remember, the show is called Full of Great Potential. So this is simply a time when you could form a new partnership, and it would be a real nice, comfortable one. You don't have to do anything but be nice right back. Okay, what does it mean to a Scorpio? Well, Scorpio, this is a time with 3 good planets in the water signs, one of which is your ruler, Mars, all trining your sun sign, Scorpio, when you probably will be involved in some matter that has to do with seeing that justice is done. And that's because that's what your sign rules. And Scorpios are pretty good at being able to weigh the good and the bad. And they're not judgmental about people overall. But when they see something that is like a war crime, or that is some act against humanity, that's the end of it. A Scorpio is going to do something about that. And if you see something that's sort of unfair around you, or in connection with your employer, I don't mean that your employer is unfair. What I mean is that you may work in an industry where there's something unfair about it going on that is in question, and you could decide, well, somebody's got to do something about this. Now, actually, that doesn't mean that you go on the march, Scorpio, because Mars, your own ruler, is in Cancer, and Cancer rules the home and the family and endings and the last half of life. So it may have something to do with your attitude about your family, or if you are nearing the last half of your life, you could be thinking about that, or just about your country, because your country is, America's ruled by Cancer. But that Mars is being beautifully trined by Saturn and Neptune in Pisces. And Pisces rules things behind the scenes. So you could find out something about what's been going on behind the scenes, a secret that had been kept for quite a long time. And if you find something out about it, you may decide in your own way to do something about it, even if it's only that you're finally drawing a conclusion about someone or something. You're finally just saying, okay, enough's enough. You would be capable of doing that right now. And so these two malefic planets, Mars and Saturn, are helping you, not hurting you. They're both trining your sun, and so is Neptune. The third malefic planet, Uranus, is opposing your sun sign. And that simply means that there is some financial matter around. It's either in your investments or it's in something where the price just keeps going up and up and up. In other words, something's going to cost you more than you want to pay. But there isn't too much of a way to get around that right now. And so Scorpios are known for being really good money managers. And so when you're coming into a situation where something is going to cost you, it's costing you more than you think it's worth. In other words, it's way overpriced. And yet, if it's something that you need to resolve or take care of right now, you will have to find some other secondary piggy bank or financial resource that will tide you over for a while as you go through the payment of something that is sort of outrageously expensive. On the other hand, if there is somebody around in your vicinity or that your employer does business with, something like that, that is involved in something that someone has done that they get caught at, and so they are going to be defeated by their own self-undoing. That would be just fine with you, Scorpio. It isn't that you'd actually have to do anything, but when you learn the truth behind the scenes about somebody that was a phony, and whatever happens to them, it's because of what they did, not anything you're going to do. And so you'll just understand that. I mean, sometimes justice just comes to people who deserve it. It takes a long time, but it happens. And I don't think that you're gonna mind that at all. It's that old, what goes around comes around. Okay, what does it mean to a Sagittarian? Well, Sagittarius, just like Leo, you really benefit right now from the Sun and Jupiter being in perfect alignment, and even twice as strong, because the Sun is at 22 degrees in Aries today, and so is Jupiter, your own ruler, Sagittarius. It's being lit by the Sun. And so they're both trining your sun sign. And so, Sagittarius, this is a time when you might be surprised a little bit by the fact that you could be selected for something now. And even if you had been thinking about something wonderful that you had either proposed or that you had thought up, a good idea that you had sort of tried to sell before, but nobody was listening, that's what you could get picked for now, Sagittarius. In certain economic times, there's still money around, but it usually is carefully spent, and more carefully than when times are good. And so somebody could decide to spend some money on you, Sagittarius. And so if you were looking for a better job with a very generous paycheck, you could probably find it right now. And I would suggest you do that. You would benefit greatly from making a new beginning. And it would turn out to be much better than you thought at the start. In other words, somebody would say, oh, do you want to come and join us? Well, okay, say yes, Sagittarius. But on the other hand, they would probably not tell you the whole story right away. They would say, well, you know, they're going to try you out. And they would say, well, we're going to have you do this and we're going to have you do that. Well, of course, Sagittarius, you could do it with your eyes closed. So you do that, and then everything opens up. And then things spread out. And it just keeps expanding and expanding and expanding. So if somebody asks you in a quiet little way if you sort of want to join them, even if it's part-time, say yes, Sagittarius. It would be just the right thing. And it would turn out to be better in the end than you think. So stick with it. Okay, what does it mean to a Capricorn? Well, Capricorn, the moon is in your sign today. And so that simply means, Capricorn, that you could sort of have your mind on money because your sign rules old age, but it also rules rewards, earned the hard way over a long period of time, and so it rules retirement or pension funds. But there's other ways of making money, particularly through investments, or just with higher interest rates, you could be making more money just on your savings. And so this is a good time to be thinking about that, Capricorn. And, you know, Capricorns are careful with their money. And this could be an ideal time for you to be very careful with your money. Not because you're being financially threatened, but because there could be some long-range or long-term opportunities to make more money. Perhaps just through investments. I'm not necessarily saying that you need to go and get a better job, but there's probably a higher paying job somewhere around for you, Capricorn, if you're looking for one. There probably is more money that you could make right now if you felt like it. Capricorns are very dependable people. They follow through. And so if you even wanted to do something 1 or 2 days a week, you could do that now. And even if you didn't need the money, nothing wrong with putting it away right now. Remember, you're going to live a long time, so you could think about it. But I think that things financially can work out well for you right now. So congratulations. Okay, what does it mean to an Aquarian? Well, Aquarius, remember I said that there's a lot of potential around right now for everybody. So it's sort of like the world is full of great potential. And that is really true for you, Aquarius, because you have Pluto in your sign. It's just at 0 degrees. It's a real slow mover. And its stay in a sign is erratic. Sometimes it'll stay 15 years, sometimes 17 years, sometimes 19 years. I mean, this planet has a mind of its own. But the one thing you can say about Pluto is that it is a real slow mover. And so it's coming in, it's in your sign now, and although it's going to fluctuate and sort of retrograde back into Capricorn and then, you know, sort of move back and forth this year, it will be in your sign for years, Aquarius. And you're really going to come into your own power. And if you have in the past, you've taken yourself or your career or your family or your priorities real seriously, that's great, but that's nothing compared to what's going to be coming for you for about the next 15 or 20 years while Pluto is in your sign, because your sign rules the future. And Aquarians love the future. They don't even know everything that's in it. They just love looking out there, dreaming big. Trying to see what new thing is coming along and how exciting it could be. Your sign rules inventing. Maybe you're going to invent something in the next 15 or 20 years, Aquarius. But you are, even if you were thinking of retiring, it would only be to tinker around with something that could be pretty interesting for you, that you'd like to do. And so Venus is in Gemini, trining that Pluto in your sign right now. Your popularity is just going to keep going up. And you know, that could surprise you, Aquarius, because you've had Saturn in your sun sign for the last 3 years. And it hasn't exactly been a pretty picture. It's been a hard 3 years when you've had to solve a lot of problems. But now Venus is in Gemini, and either young people can be very attracted to you, or part-time or temporary opportunities can just land in your lap, or short trips. You could take short trips, and you'd really enjoy it. So congratulations. The one thing you do have to watch out for is if you start spending a lot of money. And that is because the value of investments can fluctuate, and Mercury and Uranus in Taurus are squaring your sun sign. So I wouldn't be too adventurous with money right now. But as far as ideas go, and as far as communicating and contacting other people, you should do a lot of that right now, Aquarius. People would love to hear from you. This is a perfect time for you to sort of get out among them and enjoy it. Okay, what does it mean to a Pisces? Well, Pisces, this is a time, Pisces, when actually for the next 2.5 to 3 years, this could be going on, you could develop a much more serious attitude about a lot of things. And that's because a very serious planet is in your sign now, Saturn. And Saturn is a planet of reward. But you have to earn the reward. It's also a planet of respect. You have to earn the reward, and you have to earn the respect the hard way. And it is also a planet of delay and obstruction and depression. And so this is a time, as it comes into your sign, when it is being beautifully supported by all the malefic planets. In other words, Mars in Cancer is trining it, Uranus in Taurus along with Mercury is sextiling it, and it's there in accompanied by your own ruler, Neptune. This is a time, probably the most important time in your life, Pisces, to get very serious about something. And whatever is truly in your heart, and whatever you truly care about, and whatever your deepest feelings are, you should pay attention to those because they matter. They're going to matter to you your whole life long. So, in a way, Pisces, even though there's a trine in the water signs, I would say the party is over. Now that doesn't mean you quit having fun. What I mean is that you could have been going along for a long time, just doing your job, taking care of your family, traveling, doing whatever you like to do, without stopping and saying, okay, what is the most serious thing that I feel deeply about? And in the next 3 years, you're going to get an answer to that question. But maybe you have the answer now. So, who or what do you care the most deeply about? Because if you follow your heart, you won't be disappointed. You'll be rewarded. It's not a time for you to think that you can have a little of this and a little of that. This is a better time for you to be thinking about, okay, what's the most important thing that I care about? Or who is the most important person I care about? Or what is the most important problem in the world? And how can I help to solve it? Because that would give your life a lot of meaning, a lot of deep meaning. So Pisces, this is a time of deep reflection for you. But there's nothing to fear at all. When we face what's really in our heart, it's never painful. It's actually joyful. And that is because it's a real truth. And every single person in the world is different. So the truth is a little bit different to a lot of people. And so whatever you feel deeply about, well, maybe your friends don't feel that way at all. Well, that doesn't matter. It just matters what you care about. And it matters that you acknowledge that, because it's sort of the core of who you are. And every once in a while, when Saturn comes into a person's sun sign, it makes them look at who or what they really are. And I can guarantee you, by the time Saturn leaves your sun sign, you're going to be really proud of who you are. So congratulations. All right, thanks so much for tuning in. I would be happy to send you the show every Wednesday night at 8 o'clock if you'd like to subscribe to it and tell your friends about it on my Karen Campbell YouTube channel. And you can read the weekly blog on my website, starborninstitute.org. So until then, I'll see you next week. Bye.